It's about time! Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog, how we love to hate you. Longtime viewers already know my love for the Blue Blur, and for some reason, I never did a countdown of my favorite games in this series. He's always had a rough reputation with games, from the legends to the mediocrity to the oh god! Love or hate him, Sonic has made a huge impact on gaming as a whole and is a huge part of a lot of our lives. The Sonic fandom will definitely have very mixed opinions on different Sonic games, because chances are either high or low that the games that get a lot of hate will be games that some people like. At any rate, without wasting any more time, it's finally time I reveal to you all my top 10 favorite Sonic the Hedgehog games of all time. When I first played Sonic Adventure, I didn't have the best welcoming introduction to the game, but recently I've replayed the game and enjoyed it a lot more than the last time I did. Because I mean, holy crap, I was wrong about my original initial thoughts on the game. Sonic Adventure is so much fun with its variety of gameplay styles, and there are 6 of them. Sonic goes through the stages with blistering speeds, and sometimes you can use that speed to skip chunks of the stages the game doesn't intend you to do, with the game's very open level design. Tails can fly through the stages, and he can use his flight to skip around 10 or 20% of the stages to keep the lead and get the Chaos Emeralds. Knuckles is simply just looking for pieces of the Master Emerald. Amy is a gameplay style I've grown to actually appreciate and enjoy now. Amy chases away from Zero, one of Eggman's robots. She's slow, yeah, but she controls more normal and fluid compared to every other character in the game. And her level design's honestly some of the best in the game. Gamma's gameplay style revolves around shooting enemies to get the best time. Big's gameplay is legitimately the only one I despise out of the lot, with the annoying and tedious gameplay of fishing. The music doesn't need an explanation as to how good it is, because most of Sonic's games have very interstellar music tracks. Especially since this was the game that has Crush 40's very first song ever, Open Your Heart, as the main theme for the game. The story is one of my personal favorites in the series, as we see the history of the Master Emerald and the Chaos Emeralds, as well as the history of the Echidnas and one of the series' greatest villains in the series, Chaos. The main 6 playable characters have their own arcs that either contribute to the plot, do their own thing, or make them grow. Sonic is of course trying to stop Eggman and Chaos. Tails' one is that he's always reliable on Sonic, as he idolizes and looks up to him. And at the end of the story, when Sonic wasn't around, Tails decides to stop depending on him forever and stops Eggman in Save Station Square all by himself. Knuckles is finding all the lost pieces of the Master Emerald and restore the Emerald to bring Angel Island back up in the sky, while also learning about the history of the Emeralds. Amy's mission is helping a lost bird find her family, all while avoiding one of Eggman's robots chasing her and the bird. Big is just trying to catch Froggy and bring him back home safe and sound, and Gamma started off as a machine working under Eggman's coding, betraying him after and gone rogue to save his friends, all while sacrificing himself to save the bird trapped inside him. So to put it short, I was very wrong about Sonic Adventure, because after replaying it a second time, I've seen a lot of things I never saw in my first playthrough, making Sonic Adventure a game I used to call decent, to a game I can call a dream come true. So, going back to what I said about Sonic Boom back in least favorite Sonic levels and favorite Sonic bosses for a minute. I give Sonic Boom Rides the Lyric a whole lot of credit for great level design, but unless we're talking about River Rush, then that's a whole nother discussion. Lyric, for all the flack he gets in the fandom, I actually don't think he's the worst villain in the series. To me, it would be Black Doom. And in Tony Sonic's video,
how about you, Campbell?
Despite everything, despite all the hate it gets that it rightfully deserves, I am not ashamed to admit that I still love Sonic Boom. Think I was joking there? Well, believe it or not, I'm not. I'm definitely going to lose all credibility for this, because there are other games I played that are better than this, like Sonic Mania, Sonic 2 and 3, and the Sonic Rush duology. Now then, can I defend this game? Oh hell no! as I acknowledge the glitchiness in the combat that I know a majority of everybody who is a Sonic fan or not don't like. And I respect that, but out of my 3 or 4 playthroughs of the game, I've only experienced one glitch in one of my playthroughs where I did clip through the world. I thoroughly enjoyed the combat system, because I mean, sure, there are loads of enemy gauntlets, and the fact there's not really any leveling up system for the characters, but all in all, the combat is fairly decent with very clever ways to use the Enter Beam for the combat instead of just using it to zipline your way across. Lyric himself also isn't that bad of a villain. I mean, compared to other villains in the series like Black Doom and Infinite, whom are either boring, nauseating, hypocrites, or wasted potential, Lyric has a great backstory, great motive, and a very cool boss battle. 3 things that the other 2 villains I mentioned just earlier lack. Rise of Lyric is an open-level beat-em-up 3D platformer, and I think it works in the context of this new adaptation of the series. I've talked about the combat, but the puzzles are pretty good too, with all 4 playable characters are really fun to play as. Sonic able to run across water, home attack and spin dash up ramps, Tails able to fly and gain height from fans and even uses Buddy Boss to destroy mechanisms to pass, Knuckles is just your standard brawler with the ability to climb up walls and roofs, and Amy has a triple jump balance on railing sections while using her trusty Pico Pico hammer. I don't really think Rise of Lyric is a good game whatsoever, as I definitely understand a lot of the issues everybody has with the game, but all in all, I consider this game my most guilty pleasure in terms of Sonic games. With modern Sonic games being very divisive or bad, this game left a mark and vandalized our hearts. It's not perfect, but Sega and Sonic Team nailed the franchise's first attempt at an open zone platformer. And to be honest, with the character's love of exploration and the franchise all in all revolving around speed, it seems to be the perfect Sonic game. And in a lot of cases, it really is, and Sega gave us the best 3D Sonic game in years. But there's still a lot of issues with this game. Pop-In is super noticeable even if you ignore it. Questionable choices for leveling up rings and speed one by one with the Elder Coco, when you can upgrade all your attack and defense all at once with the Hermit Coco. Ares Island, while I still like, is a pain to navigate across and can get easily lost. The controls in the cyberspace levels take a long while to get used to. And with Rhea and Uranos Island being the same theming and architecturally structured as Kronos Island, just felt a little lazy. But other than that, there's no other problems with the game, and for what this game does right, just knocks it out of the park. I really got into the story of this game, giving a lot of lore about the Coco's history and the Chaos Emeralds, with flashback sequences about the Dark War between the Ancients and the Dark Forces wanting to make them face extinction. The voice actors go for deeper tones for the characters, which makes the story more deep and compelling, while the characters such as Tails and Knuckles thinking of ways on how to grow and develop. And while, like I said, of how the cyberspace controls take a while to get used to, they could be used to bypass little parts of each level, hoping to get the best time. And doing all 4 missions in each cyberspace level is all worth it. The skills that Sonic can unlock through obtaining skill points really make Sonic a beast to behold. Especially when you can chain skills to perform Devil May Cry style combos, especially when fighting the main titans as Super Sonic. This has to be the best usage of Super Sonic yet, with all of his attacks coming together with hard-ass Metal Gear Rising style metal music with awesome finishers such as force-feeding Wyvern with his own missiles, and Super Sonic using Knight's own sword against him doing a rules of nature. Speaking of the music, Frontiers has a varietal genre for the soundtrack, which makes it my new favorite soundtrack in the series. Genres such as ambience, rock, heavy metal, EDM, and frickin' lo-fi. And speaking of lo-fi, Big the Cat's fishing minigame makes Frontiers the game of all time with frickin' lo-fi music playing in the background. Traveling around all the islands doing the challenges, finding cyberspace levels, talking to Sage and your trapped friends, fighting the mini-bosses to obtain portal gears, this game is just filled with a brim of content. And with leveling your stats, finding Coco and purple coins, I could talk for hours on how magnificent this game is. But however, I got other games to talk about. While some people don't like Frontiers, a lot of people love it, making it the best 3D Sonic game we've had since Colors and Generations. Something that Forces tried to do but disappointed a lot of people.
So teach and tell me the way these things.
The weirdest thing about media in general is the reputation it gets over time, specifically ones that people used to love but now get a lot of hate. With anime, it's Sword Art Online. With TV shows, it's SpongeBob SquarePants. With movies, it's Shrek 2. And as for video games, there's a lot. One of those being, surprisingly, Sonic Colors. There is a massive fall down from Sonic Colors as the fanbase thought of this game as what the series needed, revitalizing and rekindling the series with fun and intuitive gameplay, calling it the best 3D Sonic game ever. Even to this day, there's still a huge groupie of Sonic fans loving this game to this day. But then suddenly, overnight, a lot of people suddenly is hating on Sonic Colors, and hell, some people are even comparing Colors to Forces, which is super unfair. I'm not going to be touching anything from Sonic Colors Ultimate since I haven't played it yet. Anyways, one thing I will agree with the fandom on is the story. The plot is somewhat interesting but gets ruined by the cheesy humor which is in every damn cutscene. But aside from that, the game is a spectacle. The game is split up in 7 different levels with 6 acts and a boss battle in every one of them. Well, with the exception of Terminal Velocity, which has 2 acts and the final boss fight, but I digress. Many of them do have 2D platforming, which I've never found to be terrible. Sure, many of the 2D sections have very weird gimmicks and puzzles, but admittedly, I found a lot of enjoyment in each and every one of them. I also am very much fond of the 3D segments in the game with fun platforming and speed, and many levels that have that risk and reward system from the Adventure and Rush games, as well as Unleashed. The game also has one of the best and most beautiful soundtracks in the whole of Sonic. One could say it is very interstellar? I'm not apologizing for that. The main gimmick of the game are the little aliens known as Wisps, which bring the game a whole lot of charm. Many people don't like these guys, especially since Sega loves to fetishize these things in every game they can, but me, I love these little things. You got the standard ones that fill up your boost gauge, while you got incredible ones such as Laser Drill, Hover Spike, and Frenzy, to ones I'm very indifferent on like Rocket and Cube. Sonic Colors all in all is a great game. All the levels are great, as well as the level design, has a fantastic soundtrack with very meh bosses and writing, which started the downfall of serious stories when Partek and Grab took over. I have in fact played the DS version of Colors quite recently, and I very much enjoyed it. But once it gets to Sonic Colors Ultimate, oh boy, wish me luck. The Sonic Adventure games is one series that I have grown to love even more these past few months. I went back to Sonic Adventure 2 and replayed many of the levels, and I enjoyed it even more. SA2 definitely had a huge impact on the Sonic series in general with its well-written story, gameplay styles, and being the final Sonic game for Sega's final console ever, the Sega Dreamcast. I was very wrong about Adventure 2 being very overrated. One of the worst mistakes I ever made as a Sonic fan, as I really appreciate a lot of things for this game. The story for one thing is very memorable and is cherished by a lot of people for its fantastically written narrative and message, with Shadow's past and believing that Maria wanted revenge for what they did to her, and thinking that even if his memories are fake, he will always be himself when Rouge discovers the truth about Project Shadow. And at the same time, Shadow discovers that Rouge is a government spy working for the president paid in jewels to find out what Project Shadow is. And as for Sonic himself, when Shadow broke into the bank and stole a Chaos Emerald at night in blistering speed, the military suspected none other than Sonic, and now he and his friends must retrieve the Chaos Emeralds and stop Eggman, and hiding from the police since Sonic, Tails, and Amy are fugitives of the law. Adventure 2 has fantastic gameplay with 6 playable characters having 3 different playstyles. Sonic and Shadow are the standard get to the goal, Tails and Eggman ride in mech shooting enemies and completing puzzles to reach to the end goal, and as for Knuckles and Rouge with the treasure hunting stages, believe it or not, I actually enjoy these levels now with finding pieces of the Master Emerald with minimal levels, changing them up to either keys or Chaos Emeralds. And as for the music, it's great. Not one of my favorites in the series, but I love music like Unstable World, It Doesn't Matter, Supporting Me, A Ghost Pumpkin Soup, and even the legendary Live and Learn from none other than Crush 40. Also, Sonic Adventure 2 has the best multiplayer in the series and also the fantastical and addictive Chow Garden, which I spent so many hours in. So yeah, all in all, I had such a nostalgic trip to SA2. I was wrong about many things about the game, calling the game overrated. Nowadays, it may be hard to recommend this game for newer fans, but for dedicated fans who want to see what makes Sonic amazing, I truly think you should give this game a shot. After all, you may never know unless you live and learn. Sonic is a series that was made to rival Nintendo's Mario back in the day and succeeded. There are definitely things that Sonic and Mario set themselves apart from each other, with Mario having worlds and being simplistic and platforming making them very fun, and Sonic has momentum keeping the standard genre of platforming all while reacting quickly and maintaining speed. However, many of Sonic's games have been inspired from his competitor by having different gimmicks like Sonic Shuffle and Sonic Drift. But what happens when you focus on too much on your competitor? Sonic Lost World is definitely up there with Sonic Heroes in most divided Sonic games ever. Mainly the reason why people dislike it is because this game has a lot of things cloned from the Galaxy and New Super Mario Bros. Games. Specifically how Lost World has worlds, Zavok being a failure imitation of Bowser, and collecting enough animals will unlock the next destination. But you know what? It really doesn't bother me. The level design is fantastic, wide open with plenty of places to explore to find alternate pathways, and even stuff like animal capsules and red star rings. Many of the acts do have stupid gimmicks like the snowball and especially the blending fruit, but many of the other gimmicks are very fun like ice skating, Mach Speed, Superman, and the all-rail stages. Sonic Lost World is what I give the title of being the most versatile Sonic game. Many levels with so many obstacles and gimmicks to maintain speed and give a crap ton of variety. And as much hate as the Zeddy get, sure they're uninteresting villains, but I have a soft spot for Zaz, Xena, and Zor, and hell, Zavok to me would have been a better character if this was his only appearance in the series. Really, why did this guy return in Forces Rio 2016 and especially Team Sonic Racing? They are not that great a villain, sure, but sometimes the humor can be really funny. Keyword being sometimes. All around with the story for a minute, sure it's not great, but the plot's somewhat interesting with Eggman being betrayed by the people he's tried to keep control of. But the humor on the other hand, kinda sucks. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not Sonic Colors bad in terms of humor, but I did get a few chuckles or laughs from the jokes. Consider the story in Sonic Lost World a big guilty pleasure. And as for the music, it's really fantastic, as I enjoy music like Dragon Dance, Dr. Eggman Showdown, Thundercloud Acropolis, Battle with Zavok, Sea Bottom Siege, and especially the main theme, Wonder World. Lost World's definitely one of those Wii U games that sucks, but has a surprisingly amount of people that defend this game and enjoy it to bits. I'm glad to be one of them, and I am not ashamed of putting this game so high up on my list. I'm also glad to go back to this game from time to time. Just got to feel the nostalgia to relive the past. Sadly though, I don't have any plans to play the 3DS version of this game, I just have very little interest in that one. Many Sonic games have gotten a lot of mixed reception when it comes to a lot of weird games, such as hoverboard games, storybook games, to what the hell Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood was. So what did Sega decide to do for the 20th anniversary? Relive the past, but make it better. Sonic Generations is the Sonic game that I feel like is the easiest Sonic game to recommend. Seriously, ever since this game was released, I have never ever seen anyone hate on this game. Maybe the Sonic fanbase can come together. Anyways, there's just so much to enjoy here. Like with Sonic Colors, this is one of the most beautiful looking games in the series, with many levels looking amazing. One thing that makes this game amazing is not only do you control modern Sonic, but also the return of classic Sonic. And the level design for him is a very big nostalgia trip for those who enjoyed the old Sega Genesis games. The modern gameplay is exactly like the daytime portions of Sonic Unleashed. Consistent moving boost gameplay with the risk and reward system keeping up a momentum, all whilst having platforming sections here and there with some 2D sections. And as much hate as the story gets, to me, I actually like it. Sure, it's a whole lot of conversations between the two Sonics and the two Tailses, but the plot of this game is very interesting, with Eggman planning to erase all of his previous mistakes by bringing the past, present, and future together with the Time Eater. A little fun fact for those of you who are very new to the channel. Sonic Generations is the very first game I have ever played, all the way back in 2012. Yes, this is my 10-year anniversary for my gaming experience, and Sonic Generations is a game I must thank for simply changing my life. Some could see this as nostalgia blindness for putting this game so high on my list, but the amount of fan service and momentum this game receives makes it almost a masterpiece in my opinion. So, when making this list, I wasn't totally sure if I wanted to include any Sonic crossovers. As while they hold Sonic in many of the crossovers like the Olympic Games series, those games only hold as half a Sonic game and half a Mario game. But the All-Stars Racing games, I really wasn't too sure, as it is Sonic characters crossing over with other of Sega's non-Sonic characters. But because there's more Sonic characters in those games than many of Sega's other franchises in these games, I guess I can include Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Transformed is not only my favorite Sonic spin-off, but my favorite racing game of all time. There is so much content and so much variety that keeps this game very bright-spirited. And it's all thanks to this game's feature, the vehicle transformations. You could be the standard car, but now you can transform into planes and boats. My favorite transformation is the plane. Just so fun flying around. Makes me feel so free. So alive. It's gonna be a brighter day.
Oh god, stop with the singing and music montages. You're talking about Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, not Sonic R.
Sorry, I got carried away. The transformation sequence is so cool that for some tracks, the final lap changes for a specific transformation, or they change the layout of the track. My favorite part about this game is definitely the World Tour. Fun and creative challenges such as racing, battle racing, boost challenges, and survival. And speaking of the characters, this is a fantastic lineup. So many of Sega's other characters come together, and this game introduced me to many of Sega's other characters. I already knew about Knights before I played this game, but the characters such as Vice from Skies of Arcadia, Joe Musashi from Shinobi, and Pudding from Space Channel 5, I fell in love with immediately because they were so mysterious to me and I had no idea who they were. There's even some non-Sega reps like Wreck-It Ralph for one of the greatest video game-based movies ever made, racing legend Danica Patrick, and for the PC, you can unlock some of the classes from Team Fortress 2, and the frickin' Yogscast! A YouTuber made it in a Sonic game. That's way past cool, alright. There's so much content in this game that it never gets stale. There's a reason why this game is considered one of the greatest games in the series, and it's a good thing that I am amongst them. I feel like I'm gonna lose all credibility for this one, because not only is this considered to be one of the stupidest Sonic games ever, but also one of the worst Sonic games of all time. A game that has been made fun of for its ridiculous writing and the stupid idea of the gimmick. And to think that this game is high above Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations. So brace yourself, guys, because number 2...
didn't see that coming?
Yeah, I am dead serious. Yeah, I can understand the many problems with this game, especially since this is a game to feature my least favorite Sonic character ever, with soulless and boring characters taking place in a dystopian setting. But I can't help but love the ideas Sega put into this game. Now then, is shadow-wielding guns stupid? Yes, but I can't help myself from actually enjoying them, especially when you get weapons like the Shadow Rifle, shooting down enemies in one shot and even dealing with annoying enemies like the Artificial Chaos and Meduman Lost Impact. This game isn't as linear as other Sonic games in terms of story, and that's due to the many different branching paths, leading to across different stages, leading to 22 stages, 10 endings, and an all-around total of 326 story paths. And it all depends on the missions that you do leading to the endings for Shadow to discover the truth about the past. Whether he becomes a villain, hero, or a guy who just does his own thing, all leads to the choices and missions you decide to do. And while the writing is absolute dog water, and since it is confusing as to which is the true canon path that leads into the final story, I like games with possible alignment paths and combination differentiation. Plus, I also like how they handle Shadow in this game, as he's attempting to figure out the truth about the past and questions people about who he is, about his memory, and puts the pieces together through different story and gameplay events that trigger all while giving 10 different sides to his character. The music, in my opinion, is very good as well. A lot of people really don't like this soundtrack due to the big focus on heavy rock and alienated sound effects in much of the music, making it edgy. God, I despise that overused term. But I personally think that the soundtrack really fits into the tone and state that the world is in. You also do get emotional tracks from time to time, like the Doom and Lost Impact's musics. However, I will also say that I don't like Black Doom as a character, and 90% of the bosses are crap. But no matter what, Shadow the Hedgehog will always have a special place in my heart. It was the second Sonic game I've ever played, and also my very first PS2 game. Some can call me nostalgia blinded, but whenever I go back to this game to this day, I still have loads of fun.
Goodbye forever, Shadow the Hedgehog.
But before we reach my favorite Sonic game of all time, let's see all of the honorable mentions, and trust me, there's a lot. Sonic 3 and Knuckles, so damn close to making it in my top 10 since it is my favorite 2D Sonic game, but the decision has been made. Sonic Rush Adventure, the story is incredible and I love the gameplay, especially those water bike sections. Sonic Forces, I just like to play this game for the funsies, why it doesn't deserve to be in my top 10 despite my fun factor. Sonic Mania, this game takes all the best aspects about the series and fan developers slaps them all together into one phenomenal experience. Sonic the Hedgehog, I love the variations of levels and the simplicity, truly a great first impression. Sonic Advance 2, really has fun level design with the core sense of speed and momentum. The issue? Bottomless pits. Sonic Riders, the story is seriously hilarious, I love the Babylon Rogues and the gameplay can be pretty addictive. Sonic Rush, I regret putting this game very low on my ranking video. It was because I was still pissed off about Water Palace, and despite the game being very hard, it's still a cult classic of a portable Sonic game. Sonic Drift 2, I surprisingly enjoyed this one, has more originality for tracks, free Grand Prix, and Metal Sonic and Fang in the roster. And Sonic Shuffle, to be honest, I don't like this game, but playing it with one of my friends actually becomes fun. Being on my channel, you definitely saw this coming, so let's quit stalling and get to talking about Sonic Unleashed. Despite Sonic Colors having my favorite boss and level in Sonic history, that game doesn't even compare to Sonic Unleashed. While the rushed games invented the boost gameplay, Sonic Unleashed revolutionized it. I mean, seriously, look at this. This game really shows how fast Sonic can go, especially when you mix that into the level design. This game is the perfect risk and reward system for the daytime stages, containing momentum with speed and platforming to get the fastest times, which is why the time trials are a thing. Levels like Coal Edge, Rooftop Run, and Arid Sands prove that incredible speed, all while keeping up the pacing and momentum with the platforming sections. However, this game also has you playing as the Werehog, and I love playing as him. Dare I say, I enjoy playing as the Werehog more than the normal daytime Sonic. Sure, the stages are longer, but they really have fun platforming and puzzles with awesome combat, reminding me of another beat 'em up and hack and slash games like God of War and Devil May Cry. And I love how every level is based on actual countries, like Windmill Isle being Greece, Dragon Road being obviously China, Rooftop Run being based on a few European countries such as Spain, Italy, and France, and Jungle Joyride being based on Thailand and Malaysia. Also, I've never had any complaints about collecting the Sun and Moon medals. Finding the first few 20 to 60 aren't very difficult to find, as you can find some even in the overworld. This game is also interesting from a story perspective. I love how Kyoko Yoshimura wrote the story to be told in a dark setting, filled with very funny humor and especially emotionally impactful moments in terms of a friendship between Sonic and Chip. There are some issues in terms of frame rates and the bosses. While I don't care about low frame rates, there are times when the frame rate is worse in the Werehog stages and the overworld than in the daytime levels. And aside from Dark Gaia and the Egg Dragoon, I've never really enjoyed many of the other boss fights. The daytime bosses were mediocre at best, and the nighttime bosses ended up falling into the level of monotonous and boring. But aside from that, Sonic Unleashed is an incredible game. It's getting more love to this day than it did back in 2008, has perfect gameplay, an incredible story, a beautiful soundtrack. It is no wonder why this game is my favorite video game of all time. I'm User1Campbell, and see you all next time.